Would you like to know the number one biggest secret to slimming down using the T-Tapp method? If so, get ready because I gotta tell you something. I did a Facebook Live last week and I pulled out all the stops. I really did. I talked and talked because you know when I get going, I go. And I shared so many secrets in this particular Facebook Live. So I really wanted to share it with you here on YouTube. What else do I cover? Well, I also cover how to absolutely trim down your specific area of concern, whether it's up here or it's in your legs or it's in your booty. You're going to get all the info. How about how to truly unbind your fascia and help you feel so much better in your body? It's not exactly what you may think. Share that with you here. The best ways to stretch, again, not exactly what most people think. I share the secrets here. Not sure where to get started? T-Tapp can be so confusing, isn't it? But I get it right down to simple, simple, simple. You'll know exactly where to start with T-Tapp to get these same levels of benefits. I share this and so much more. So right now, without any further ado, by the way, I'm Renee McLaughlin, Master T-Tapp Trainer. Get ready, get set, go! Questions. I'm going to start with the biggest question that I ever always get. Well, maybe not the biggest, but one of them. And that is, where do I start? I know, where do I start? There was so much. I look on that site, that old T-Tapp site, and there's just so much. I have no idea where to start. Now, I'm going to give you an answer to this. It's sort of a long answer because, you know, I can't just answer 1, 2, 3, right? I got to kind of go into the whole story. And here's my whole story with this. For so many years, the only things that we had to share with you all was the total workout. Now, the total workout, for those of you that don't know, has actual 2 parts. It had the basic workout plus the hoedowns, that's your 15 minutes. And then it had the second part of total, which was actually quite a bit more challenging. And that had like lunges and balance and lawn mowers and a whole bunch of other stuff. Most people, quite frankly, never got to that. We like those short workouts, don't we? So we would stick with the 15 minutes and that's what we did. So I would go off and I would teach. And those of you who know, I try to teach it much more slowly because Teresa taught really fast. Let's face it, she was brilliant. The stuff was amazing. Yes, it worked, but she went fast. So if you were somebody that kind of had a bit of a hard time, like looking at something visually, hearing it auditorily, and then kinesthetically putting it into your body, she would like start, you'd watch, by the time you finally got your body into a position, she was off to the 3rd move, right? And we were all like, what do we do? So I can't tell you how often people would come to my class or one of my clinics. I'd slow it all down, right? And we would kind of get it. And they'd be like, okay, Renee, well, I can't come see you all the time. So what should I get? And so I would get them, you know, the basic workout plus or total, and I would know that most likely they would take it out and they would try it maybe once or twice and just go, forget it, I can't follow her and be done, right? And so it was like so discouraging. But for those of us who did keep going and thought, okay, I'm going to get this, we would like pick it all apart. That was kind of how I learned it. I mean, I would pick that thing apart. And then we had the book that came out. That was cool because then we could like look and see that primary back stretch was 12 pages long. I have actually met people who have taught themselves how to do this with the book, which I think is just amazing. But we didn't even have that, not for quite a few years. So it was kind of tough. Like, how should I start? There was only that. And I will tell you to the very end, if somebody said to Teresa, it didn't matter what their health conditions were, unless they were really, really not in good shape, then she would recommend the more, which was wonderful. But even up to almost the end, she would always say, start from the beginning. And the beginning is basic workout plus. So I'm going to answer you that way, but with the caveat that, you know what, she's fast and you have to really take your time with it. I know for me, I don't like sitting and watching a lot of instructionals, right? How many of you like that? I'm like, hey, I know how to do it. So I just watched the instructional once or twice and off I went to do it. But the longer that I've done T-Tapp, the more if I go back and watch the instructionals, Now all of a sudden it's like, oh, she did have that in there. I don't ever remember her saying that. I used to think somebody came in and swapped out the DVDs because I never really heard it. So I want you to understand that with this, it's so brain body. I know you've heard that before. The longer I work with movement, the more I can tell you, yeah, it's really brain to body. And you can't necessarily speed up your own ability to connect brain to body. It's going to happen as it happens, and it happens with repetition. And, okay, here's the big two words. You want to know the big secret to slimming it down? Here's the secret. Okay, come in close. Slowing it down. Why? Because you cannot connect brain to body and really begin to get that whole idea of muscle activation. How do you get muscle activation when you're going really fast? Okay, like I'm just going to give you a really quick example, right? Okay, so here's primary back stretch. I can tell all of you, and hi, thank you so much. Thank you for all coming in. Keep commenting. I'm going to come back to you. But I just want to share really quickly, like even the first part of primary back stretch, right? So how was it? Oh, we started here, and what do? We hinged on over, we straightened and bend, and tuck, curl, and in, out, and up and over, and tuck, and here, and over, right? You're like, yeah, Did you even know what you really felt? Like, what was even going on there? How could you engage your belly when you're going like that? What does it even mean, right? As opposed to really lifting ribs, pressing down, right? Squeezing between those shoulder blades, untucking, keeping your knees out from the thigh bones, sticking your tailbone up, feeling the stretch in the hamstrings. You get the picture, right? This way, you slow it down. You really listen to what we're saying. You put that into your body. And now, all of a sudden, the light bulbs go off. You're like, oh my gosh, I've never felt that. Never felt it. I didn't know that's what it meant, right? Let me give you one other really big tip, because this one has been, I think, huge for most of us, myself included. And that is, when Teresa started, you have to remember that it was many years ago, okay? And she was a great educator. And so she learned how to educate. And so a lot of times you take people, especially with movement, almost to an extreme, the opposite way, in order to actually get them to come to a center point. I don't know if that makes a lot of sense. It probably does, and you'll understand when I keep going. So Teresa always said, knee to little toe, knees out, right? And her feet were a little bit wider, knees out. I'm going to drop my camera and lift it up, so it might be a little annoying. I apologize, but I'm going to do this because I want you to see this. All right, so she would have her feet. What did she do? She would do this thing. So we were a little wider, okay, and bend, and then she would always, tuck, curl, right, and get your ribs up, okay, and then she would say knees out. Now, here's something that I know about 99% of all T-tappers. We are type A. And if you tell us to do something, we not only do it, we overdo it, don't we? Because we want to be good girls. So if she said knee out, here's what we would do, or knee to little toe. We would go all the way out. Can you see what I'm doing? I'm going to bring it in even more. So that those knees were way out. We were way on the outside of our feet. And then we would go, oh my gosh, my feet hurt, my ankles hurt, I'm sore on the outside of my shins. What's happening? Like, this doesn't seem to be right. But I know so many people who just continue to do this, way on the outside of the feet. Well, you know what? It wasn't really supposed to be like that. So instead, even if you just bring those feet in a little bit more with your tuck and your curl, you shift back. Now, instead of thinking, I've been doing it different ways, different words kind of hit different, us differently, depending on who we are and what our own experience is. I like to say, when you're tucked under, that you think about the inner thighs. So here's one way of doing it. Thank you for all of those. I love my hearts. The inner thighs, rotate them out. Externally rotate. Now, did you see what happened to my knees? I am not thinking about my knees at all, okay? Instead, I'm rotating out from here. Yes, and then I'm lifting up. Now, I might even at that place slightly squeeze my tush a little bit and press it forward. Yes, now that was something she never said, but I am experimenting with this and I am here to tell you when you do that, okay, out, slight squeeze of the tush, press forward, lift ribs, you are going to see that you have flattened out that lower belly. Yes, you have. And so even when you untuck, obviously you're going to lose that, but with that rotation, arching ribs up, you're going to feel it a whole new way. So just doing something like that. Now, did you notice I'm not on the outside of my feet, okay? I'm lifting my toes. I'm not on the big toe ball joint, but I'm not even thinking about my feet because the whole idea of this is just to make sure that your knees don't do that. Because when your knees roll in, you lose muscle activation here. That's the whole idea, okay? So when you start to look at, gee, I really want to sculpt my body. I want to have inch loss. You need to take a look and say, all right, look at it almost like physics. What is it that I need to do with my muscles in order to create that Spanx, okay? So for example, especially if you're like a long torso, short leg, that tends to have those of us that have that tend to be a little bigger here. And what you'll see is they'll tend to walk, their knees, maybe not, the toes may not be out, but when they're standing hip width apart, the knees are in like that, okay? They might even be in like that, but locked back, okay? That's a double whammy, okay? So if you're somebody with that kind of a body type, then you want to make sure that your ankles, not necessarily the knees, but at least the ankles, center of your ankle, is in the center with the hip joint. Now your knees may be in, that's just how you might stand, right? With the knees slightly bowed out in here. But when you go down and you tuck and you think, okay, I'm going to rotate out from here, you getting it, right? And then I'm going to slightly squeeze my tush because we tend to have some tush issues when we're there. And I'm going to slightly press it forward. So you're getting that tuck and the turn out and the squeeze. So now you're shortening these muscle fibers. You're engaging and shortening. You're creating a thigh Spanx. Does that make sense? So that's what we're looking at doing. People always say to me, oh, I need to do something with the torso. All right, well, how would we cinch in the torso? Let's take a look at that. We have the spine. So our spine is the central nervous system, number one, but it also goes all the way down, right? And then we have all these muscles that attach this way and that way and up and down, all in the back, right? So you want to be able to engage the spinal muscles to get, Teresa would call it spinal density. It's really just engaging all those muscles. So that's why I always like to say, if you don't have a lot of time to do your workout and you can only do maybe 10 minutes, pick 3 moves. And in my mind, I always choose 3 moves that work all the muscles of the spine in different ranges of motion. Now, every T-Tapp move, standing, will work every muscle. That's one of the reasons that you do not have to work out for an hour a day like you might in some other things, because you're working every muscle with every move, okay? So that's the good news. Even when you go, so for me, anytime, I'm always going to make sure that I'm doing my curls and my scoops, right? You want to get really good spinal flexibility. What do most of us do all day long? We sit and we hunch, okay? And that is not good for your spine. So we've got to be overworking the spine, the different angles, just to offset what we're doing all day long, which is sitting, right? So anytime you can curl and scoop. If you don't have time for full primary back stretch, however you want to do it, you can press down, curl, pull up, scoop, push down, curl, however you're going to do that. If you do palms down, but always curling and scooping. What else are we going to do? We've got to be stretching the sides, right? So when you side stretch, here's your spine, you're stretching all these muscles up those sides. So how about some reach scoops, right? Reach scoop is a great one to do because you're stretching those spots, those sides. And then, of course, anything that's going to do trunk rotations, right? Inhaling through the rib cage, exhaling, pulling it in and turning. So we have lots of those moves. So that's how you're going to begin to cinch in here. How about back fat, right? Back fat, you've got to learn to engage those lat muscles, upper body, right? So this is a place where I also see a lot of us when we're going really quickly, we don't have time to really get a sense of this, right? So I'm just going to give you a quick idea of what I mean by that. Even in our older basic workout or total plies, fingers and thumbs, like I typically now do everything more from the senior fit, etc., because there's just so much more muscle activation you can use. But if you only have those DVDs, when you come in, I'm not going to go up and down on this, but look, I'm bent, my tail, I'm tailbone. I don't like personally to think about tucking under. I find that's a little bit too much for a lot of people. So my suggestion is when you get in this position that you just connect to your tailbone, okay? And instead of thinking tucking under, I like to think about pulling my tail down. If you like a visual, because visualization is really powerful when you're doing movement. I like to imagine like I have a weight on my tail and it's pulling down. Now, this is really interesting, you guys. We know that the body works as a whole, right? So if you do something in your back, like pulling that down, something's going to happen on the front, right? So as you pull your tail down, guess what? I'm going to go to the side. You're going to pull your tail down. Did you see what just happened to my front? One more time. I have a sway back, which is why I get this right here, okay? So if I'm not doing it, see how my back sways out? So I've got to think, let me put my weight on my tail. As I drop that down, automatically pelvic floor engages. I'm going to be pulling up from here at the same time. I then like to think about, okay, my tail is down. I'm going to pull the belly button in just a little bit because a lot of us can't breathe, right? We think if we're pulling the belly in, we go, no, I can't breathe, so it's not that, okay? Instead, I'm just going to pull it in gently, and then I'm going to think about scooping it up underneath my rib cage just a little bit. So just check it out and see if you can do that. So that's my original stance. Where are my knees? Well, you know what? If I look and I drop this knee down right here, the knee is going to be about your second toe. That's really where you should be, second toe. If I went to my little toe, I can't do it. I mean, yeah, I could do it, but now I'm way on the outside of my foot. Do you see the difference? So I'm going to have you modify it. You're not going to try and get it out. You're still bent, your tailbone's down, and you're thinking, externally rotate those out. I'm where I need to be. I am tight, I'm toned, and I can feel it. All right, so fingers and thumbs. Ribs are up here. So how did we do it with the total workout, right? So we cross here. Now I'm telling you, when you go fast, you're going to do this, right? Everybody does this, even though they think they're not, we are. You can go to the side and notice that your shoulders will come forward. So you have to go slow, right? So we're going to cross here. I like to straighten my legs a little. Keep a slight bend, though, with the thigh bones pressing back. You're going to feel that. I'm going to come up, and now I'm going to go, you ready? To a W. Now, can you see the activation in my arms? Okay, here's if I wasn't activating. Can you see the difference? I'm going to walk myself up. So you can see that when I'm really thinking, okay, ribs up, I'm going to connect to my shoulder blades. Okay, why shoulder blades? Because whatever we do in the back has an effect on the front. So I think for so long, we all thought about ribs up from the front. I know I did. But I have so gotten connected to thinking about my shoulder blades. So I'm going to bring these up in my W. Sorry, in the camera, I'm always a little opposite, so it takes me a minute to connect there. So I'm just going to almost shut my eyes. I'm going to connect to my shoulder blades, and I'm going to think, I'm going to slide my shoulder blades down and pull them in towards my spine. Did you see what just happened? I just got a heat wave, you guys. Why? Because now I'm engaging all those muscles. So in the back, I want you to think, slide your shoulder blades down, pull them in, ribs up. Now, as I do that, then I'm there. And then I want you to think, elbow to the front of your body, forearms back slightly. And you get tons of activation. I'm telling you, I am really hot right now. I'm hot, girls. I'm hot, I'm hot, I'm hot. So anyway, that's what I'm talking about. It's really difficult to get that amount of muscle activation when you're going quickly. The slower you go, the more you're holding those isometric contractions. That's the secret. That's when you're going to start to really cinch yourself in. That's how we create body spanks. Okay, I hope that makes sense. You kind of have to feel it, but when you do, you're going to get it. So that really flies in the whole face of you've got to do lots of aerobics and you've got to work out hours and hours and hours. No, not with this. You truly do not. You're using muscle activation, full fiber, okay? You don't have to worry about that, what that means, but it's full fiber. If you're doing this work, this is what it is. And with all these moves, you're working every single muscle in your body. Again, that's why you really don't have to do it, for an hour. Now, if you're really somebody who is like, I really want to get these inches off, then you might want to take a look at the second part of total workout. The other day, I think it was a Tuesday, Tuesday, I think it was, I interviewed Melissa Sims, who's also a master trainer. And Melissa has a great story. If you hadn't heard it, I highly recommend go to the T-Tapp workout site and watch it. It's really interesting because she did the basic workout plus for a year, girls, a year. And she felt better. It was all good. It was after her 5th baby, 15 minutes. And you know what? She didn't get results, inch loss results. Inch loss. I'm going to be very specific. We all get results, whether it's inch loss. We always feel better. We get better digestion, better sleep, all those other things, hormonal balance. But she wasn't getting the inch loss that she wanted. And then she started working with a trainer a little bit, and she decided to do total for a month. And she did it every other day, sometimes just 3 to 4 times a week, but every other day essentially, okay? Total workout. And in 1 month, she lost 17 inches. Now, she's about my height, okay? And that was amazing for her. So just doing that second part, it is a little bit more challenging, but you might want to take a look at that. Kind of interesting. So, of course, I'm going to recommend, self-promotion, but this is what I do. I have a lot of those class packages that are on my T-Tapp site. I can give you a link later. And right now, because it's my birthday month, I love a good birthday discount, don't you guys? Thank you for that, right? So 30% off on all of my class packages but wait, there's more. I'm giving you also 6 bonus classes in a package, and these are the new classes that we're doing. So it'll have ball in there, you'll have some of my stretch, some walking, some of the newer stuff that takes all this same T-Tapp method is what we're calling it, and it just gives you some new variety, especially if you've been doing it for a while. So on there, I just want to mention a couple of things. Some of the first things that we ever did really online, Teresa allowed my daughter and I, we were the first ones to actually do a form intensive course. And my daughter was also a T-Tapp trainer. And so we really wanted to do it because we know that it's so hard to know, what am I doing wrong? How am I doing it? Right? I'm not sure. So I was actually, we hired a photographer. It's professionally done. It's very nice. And essentially, I would be like teaching her. And then maybe she'd teach me a little bit. But it was really fine tuning like I'm doing now. It wasn't the kind of thing where you were actually working out with us, but we did it for every move in the basic workout plus. And then we did some tweaks for, say, senior fit, etc. So we have that one in there. And then she and I also did Form Intensive 2, which are all the moves in the total workout, the second part. And I really like that one actually better because we kind of learned what people liked about the first one and what they didn't, and everybody kind of wanted to do some with us. So it's me teaching her, and then we all do it all together. So you can practice it all together. And then there was bonus on the floor and that kind of thing. So that was good. So if you're not sure about the second part of total and you want something slowed down to really explain it, and then you can go do it instead of having to watch the instructional, or I shouldn't say instead of, in addition to, then you might want to take a look at that one. And then I did a 4-hour live clinic online that I recorded. So for so many years, you guys, what trainers would do, and a lot of us still do it, we would go out into the community and we would have clinics. And my clinics were about 4 or 5 hours long, and we would go through every single move, right? We were all in the same room, but every single move in the basic workout for the most part, because that takes a long time if you're really fine-tuning it and helping people. So I thought, gee, wouldn't it be cool if I did it online, live, so I do them via Zooms, and that way and record them so that I could make them available to you all. So it's really like you are in the room with me and we're going through each move. And in that package, you do have a video for every move in the workout, and they're all separate. And there's one separate for the stance, because you know how long that can take, and I think even clapaways. So that's a really nice one if you just like really want to work out with me, or you're like, I just don't get it. What am I doing wrong? And you want to just keep using your DVDs, that would be a good one too. And then from there, you can kind of read on some of the others I do. But what you'll find is in the classes, the actual classes that I teach, not just instructionals, you know what? I slow it way down. I add a lot of stretching because let's face it, when we are doing all that really good muscle activation, girls, you need to relax and release it out. You need to do some good movement. And quite frankly, what we know now about the fascia, okay, is that fascia really gets unbound with really slow, gentle movement. Yeah, especially if you are someone who has not been moving for a while and you're really stiff. Maybe you've been sick. Maybe you've had life events. Maybe you're just somebody who has never moved and now all of a sudden your body's going, girlfriend, it's time to move. Either way, you don't want to go from that all the way into muscle activation and all this. You know, it could be a little bit extreme and intense. So instead, you want to be gentle and you want to just start loosening everything up, okay? And so that's what we do in my classes. We always start with loosening. So I also want to give you a little bit of a tidbit about what the new science is showing in terms of, do you stretch before the move, even if you're going out for a walk, okay? Do you stretch first? Do you stretch after? How do you stretch? So there's a lot of things that we used to think were sort of the way it was. Now they're saying not so much, right? I don't know, you might have read articles here and there that says stretching doesn't help. It does not improve performance, and sometimes it actually decreases performance. That's what we're learning about stretch. And so what we're finding is the first thing we do is warm the body up. So maybe you just do even some walking, right? Just moving the body, maybe some side to side, little hamstring curls. Just get that body warmed up, maybe some squats, some things like this. I know in Teresa, some of her things, she'd start with some hoe downs. Great, hoe downs will warm you up. Okay, just get the body warm, get the blood circulating. Then it's time, okay, to do some, for me, I just go like this, because you guys know I just love the feeling of that. But as you just gently start to tuck under and move, what you're doing now is beginning to unbind the fascia, okay? That's what we really want to do. We need to get everything unbound, because if your fascia, which is through every part of your body, If your fascia is bound up and too tight, you cannot lose inches. You can't move. You're not going to be able to get to the muscle. Why? Because the fascia has it bound up. How are you going to stretch out and lengthen when the fascia's got you like this? That's why when I say to people, okay, straighten your arm, bring your arms out, straighten, and they're like, it's straight, because their fascia has so bound them up here that they can't even get into the muscle to lengthen it out. So it's one step at a time, and the first step is working that fascia. Now, I'm going to also say something. Sorry, this is going on, but I'm on a roll now, you guys. So hopefully you'll enjoy at least part of what I'm saying. But I really want to get this out there. I've wanted to say this, tell people this for a while now. I know that a lot of people use, I'm just going to use this term, kind of mechanical things to unbind the fascia, right? And I'm not talking about massage therapists who go in and do that. They're professionals. They know what they're doing. That's not what I'm talking about. But for those of us who have some of those things that we're in there and we're digging, right? And I've seen it where people are like, oh my God, I'm in so much pain and I'm black and blue and all this stuff. I just want to share with you what the science is showing us now, because they're doing so much study on the fascia. It's a huge subject now because we're learning so much amazing information about the fascia. But I'm going to say this to you. When you think about the fascia and that it is between every cell and everywhere all over the body, the fascia is carrying information. Okay, information from the brain, from the central nervous system, out into every part of the body, from the muscles, the tissues, the cells, the organs, everything, okay? So it's where information is being transferred. And so we know electrical information, energy is carried via fluid, right? So when the fascia becomes bound, it's because it dehydrates, right? And so you want to be very careful about how you unbind that. You don't want to be jamming in there and opening it. Here's another interesting fact. It also is very sensitive to pain. And when you are in a pain place, fibromyalgia, whether it's diagnosed fibromyalgia or simply I'm in pain, okay, you do not want to be you want to be able to get out of the pain cycle, because pain can be a cycle, can it? We've got to get out of the pain cycle. So I always say when you start to move, okay, let's say you have some frozen shoulder or something going in there, we never move through pain. It is not no pain, no gain. It is no pain is the only way to gain. So you've got to be moving mindfully, slowly. Let's say it's a frozen shoulder, slowly. Let's say if I go to here, I'm good, but the minute I go to here, I'm starting to feel pain, you come back out of it. And you come back to here, and you just go to there, and you go slowly to see, okay, can I get just a little bit more? And if not, that's where you're at for today. Or maybe later you come back and you just do it a little slowly, slowly moving, unwinding. If you begin to take that fascia, okay, and you're jamming it in there and you're trying to release it because, gosh darn it, I don't want that cellulite anymore, and you're jamming it in there, you can really create some problems from a pain standpoint. So, if it's working for you and you're getting great results and you're loving it like no other, awesome. I always say if something's working for you, great. You keep doing it. But if you are somebody who is in pain, okay, I'm going to recommend be very careful about doing that. It's really not what you want to do. You can go to myofascial or people that do it and know how to do it, and know how to work it in a way that it does not create that kind of pain for you to unbind. All right, enough of my soapbox. Am I answering some of these? Probably not. Where do I start? I don't know that I even answered that. But basic workout, and then hopefully maybe some of my information will help you with that. All right. What if you're not seeing results? I think I answered that, didn't I? Like, slow it way down. slow it down, and really focus on every move. And, you know, use us trainers. That's what we're here for. Listen, I've been doing it 20 years. I swear to you, I can get on with you on a camera and I can see in 5 minutes what you're doing. I can show you. And even if you just want, give me 15 minutes, Renee, I'm going to just do plies for you. What am I doing? I can show you. Okay, so use the trainers. That's what we're here for. That's what I've studied. I can't do surgery and I can't do rocket science and I can barely add 2 and 2, girls. But I can show you how to get results with T-Tapp. Okay, is a boot camp necessary? That was the question. Of course, my snarkiness always wants to say, necessary for what? But I know what you mean. You mean if I'm starting, do I have to do a boot camp, and or do I have to do a boot camp to get results? So no and no, no and no. But you know what? Teresa was brilliant. She was a brilliant innovator, and she was brilliant at getting results. And her suggestions was, if you're just starting, why don't you do a boot camp? You know, because the body goes through these metabolic plateaus, which is kind of what she would say, and you have muscle memory, and it takes a while, right, just to kind of learn the move, get the move. We all know what she said was right, that by the 3rd and 4th day in a row, you're feeling it, right? So you want to then do it the next day and the next day, however long. Do you have to do it 14 days in a row? No. No, if you want to lose a lot of inches and you have the time and yeah, you know, do you have to do an hour? No. Maybe you do start with 10 minutes. Maybe then you can go up to 15 and maybe the next day 20 and add on to it, okay? So no, you don't have to do it every day. I know that so many of you so want me to give you the secret, perfect schedule that if I say to you, if you just do it, this, on this day, exactly this way, that everyone's going to drop 17 inches. But you guys know that's just not the way the body works. It just isn't. I would lie. I know there are people out there that are willing to tell you, absolutely, if you do it this, you're going to get these kinds of results. But I'm sorry, okay? That's just not true. It may be true for some people, but the bodies were so individual. Okay, we all have our own individual situations going on. We all have our own health issues. Are you hypothyroid? Do you have some thyroid issues? Is it being treated? Is it not being treated? Where are you in that? What's your nutrition like? I love it. No matter who I ask, how's your nutrition? Oh, I eat really healthy. But what does that mean? Really healthy to one person is not really healthy to another person. And how do we know? And here's something that I will tell you. You can eat too much healthy food. You can eat 3 or 4 bites of too much healthy food, and you're not going to lose weight. Now, with T-Tapp, however, you can stay at the same weight and shrink. Absolutely. People will go, I don't get it, like the weight's the same. I've had people really upset because they lost inches, their clothes are fitting better, but darn it, that scale's not moving. So see, it's just not working. We've got to get away from all that. I think most of you guys know that at this point, right? And why is that? Because muscle is so much. I love it when people say muscle weighs more than fat. But in reality, a pound weighs the same as a pound, right? It's just that here's a pound of muscle, here's a pound of fat. The fat takes up much more room. It's fluffy, right? So as you tone in, you come in, even if you don't weigh anymore. And sometimes your weight can actually go up because you're really tightening and building muscle. And that's the great news. You want that, okay? It's not bulking. It's getting that metabolic engine cranked up. And that's how you do it with muscle. Okay, I think I answered that. Now, somebody asked me if anybody has ever rebuilt bone density without medication. And yes, without a doubt. So we always bring out Barry, and yes, at some point Barry had been on medication, and then she wasn't for a long time, and we know she's built, of course, but she's Barry, right? Everybody knows that's Barry. And by the way, I have seen her just a month or 2 ago, and the woman is 90, she's probably close to 91 now. She looks better than ever. Amazing, okay? But not all of us are like that. So I have, as you know, trained a lot of women. And of course, as women, we do get osteoporosis, osteopenia. And yes, we absolutely have seen amazing changes in DEXA scans from doing T-Tapp. They were not on any medication. Now, I'm going to say something else. This is going to take us to a whole other subject. I promise you I won't wax on and on and on poetic about this, but I do want to mention this, and then maybe I'll do another Facebook Live if you guys are interested in more of my philosophy thoughts about this. But you know, as we get older, yes, we get older. I hate that, but it's true. And postmenopausal. Isn't it interesting how we're postmenopausal? That, gosh, it's just so hard to keep ourselves tight and toned that automatically the body just fluffs. And it fluffs here, doesn't it? Right? And it's almost like I have to practically starve, right, to keep myself looking like that. I'll tell you, girls, I'm like that. I have to watch what I eat so carefully. And, you know, I hate it, but I know if I don't, I will fluff up. Now, why is that? Because as an older woman's body, sorry, older, menopause, postmenopausal, we're not old, we're just older than we were when we were in our 20s and 30s, right? Our bodies become more insulin resistant, which means a little bit more, I want to say carb sensitive, but it's really more than that, isn't it? We're learning that it's more than that. Okay, so insulin resistant. And here's another key, stress sensitive. And what does that mean? It means that the least little bit of stress that we get under, we will start to fluff up. It's that cortisol release. It's the insulin cortisol thing. We fluff up. And I think it's very interesting that nature has created that. So even when you look at cultures where they are, we call it the blue zones, where there's longevity, lots of longevity. The women live a really long and they're very healthy. But if you look at them carefully, most of the time, they are not skinny. They are not tiny thin. They've got some meat on them. I don't mean they're heavy, don't misunderstand. But there's a little bit more fluff on them, right? Even though they're there, they walk. Typically, they have really healthy lifestyles. They're moving all the time and gardening and walking and eating really healthy plant-based foods, but they're not skinny. And I think that's really interesting because nature has provided us. There's a reason for this, right? Nature wants us, I think, to have a little bit more reserve on our bodies so that if, God forbid, something happens, we get an illness or something else, that we have a little bit of reserve that we can call on. Now, also, when you have a little bit more weight on you, you're building stronger bones. Right? Think about that. So women that are really tiny tend to have worse osteoporosis because they don't have a lot of weight to build bone. How do you build bone? Weight-bearing exercise. Walking. I do a lot of balance in class. Why? Because you're putting all your weight on that one leg. One of the great things about hoedowns, all your weight's on one leg. It builds strong bones. And I can tell you, I have a dear, dear mother who is now in her late 80s, and my mother is bone-like. I mean, she is so skinny tiny, okay? Amazing. She has been for quite a few years, and she's not on any medication. She didn't even know she had osteoporosis, and she fell. This was, you know, way earlier in the year, and man, she broke a hip just like that. Right? And I think to myself, that's really interesting. Part of the, I believe, was because she's so thin. So let's begin to love this body. All right, let's not be so worried as we're a little bit older that we've got to get into those size 2 jeans anymore. Let's understand that that's really fighting nature, and maybe, just maybe, nature has a reason to put us there. Now, I'm saying this because I am talking myself into this just as well as you girls, okay? So moving more, you know, the postmenopausal body needs to simply move. Okay, not sit at a desk. I know sometimes we have to. I get that. It could be your job or whatever, but get up all the time and just move. Do hoedowns, do some stretches, do some curls and tucks, do some reach scoops. Just move. The body was meant to move, and the older we get, the more we need to move. I kind of like that. I think it's really helpful. All right, I know I'm going on and on and on. There were just a few other questions. One, why do I think it's not mainstream yet? Why is T-Tapp not mainstream? Because it's an intelligent person's workout. Okay, that's why. I mean, you can't just get on and just run off and do it, right? There's a lot to it to really get it. So I think that's part of it. It's the thinking woman's workout. And also, well, I'm just going to stop there. I really think that's what it is. But, that brings me into the next question, which is where do I see T-Tapp in the coming years? And I do see it. And you know what? I do see it becoming more mainstream. And I see it being more mainstream for us women who are not skinny, who are not gym rats, where the ladies who don't want to go to the gym, we really just want something at home that we can do. We want something that's going to feel good, that we know we can do in not a lot of time, that we know we can build strength, build bone density, relax and recover from any kind of injuries that we get, have a good time, have community that we're building around us, and enjoy the workouts. Enjoy what it feels like to move in our bodies. That's where T-Tapp method is going. And that's what those of us trainers who are looking to bring this forward, that's our whole mission. So get ready. We're doing it. The retreat is just the first part, you guys. You're going to see lots and lots of other things. We're going to be maybe coming to your city or to a city near you. We do want to do live events like these clinics that I was speaking about, or maybe we also bring in some other people that have other ideas, other nutritionists and other things that can help us. So yes, thank you. I'm getting some hearts. That's our idea. We do want to be doing that as well, maybe 4 times a year. So yes, West Coast, yes, Mid, yes, Northeast, yes, Southeast. So we're going to move it all around. Can't wait to do some of that and plan those. Lots of online things coming. So that's where I see it going. And let me just see if there are any write-off questions that I can answer for you guys without it being midnight by the time I finish, right? Hi, Kelly, thank you for coming on today. Do I think scoliosis can decrease the effectiveness of T-Tapp? That's an interesting question. No, I don't. I don't think that. Scoliosis is its own thing, and I don't want to go too much into it, but I have worked with people with scoliosis, and it definitely improved. No, it doesn't cure scoliosis, so don't misunderstand me. But, because we're working with muscle activation and really working with muscle imbalance, as long as you really go slowly, get mind to body focus, do it in a mirror, and work with somebody, I absolutely do not think that at all. I think that you can still have scoliosis and get great results, just depending on exactly where you're looking to do it. Would love another live on menopause fluff. You got it, Stacy. I'll go on and on about that because I think it's just fascinating, and I'm glad you do too. Thanks, Clara. Claire was taking my my stretch classes. I miss you. Synax, Maui. You go, girl. I'd love to do it on Maui, actually. And I know that Cynthia has a great an adventure tour company, so maybe we could even do an adventure tour somewhere. That sounds really fun. I'm in for that one. I'll volunteer to do that one. Thanks, Hannah. I'm glad this was information. Yeah, fascia. It is interesting, isn't it? And it is a confusing issue because, we're just studying it now. We're just studying it now. Do you believe that even up to maybe 10, 12 years, when they would do anatomy, it was like they would just peel the fascia off and put it over there. Like it was, who needs fascia? That was just, we needed to get rid of the fascia so we could get to the real stuff, right? To the real organs. And now we realize, oh my gosh, the fascia is where it's all at, right? It's so interesting. And the whole idea of the pain fascia thing, I'm really fascinated with that as well. So yeah, we'll just keep studying and working with that fascia. Tina asked, boot camp is 14 days straight. Great question. Thanks, Tina. Boot camp is doing the workout anywhere from 4 days in a row up to 14 days in a row. That's the max. And Teresa, the way that she described it was depending on how many sizes you wanted to lose. So if you really wanted to lose, I don't even have all those numbers in my head, I'm sorry, but let's just say 4 sizes or more, then she recommended that you did it 14 days in a row. If you only had maybe 1 size to lose, or you just kind of wanted to get started, or maybe push plateau, you do it 4 days in a row, and then every other day, she would say to maintain. Or you can go up to 4 days, 5 days, 6 days. But what she did say was, if you miss a day in between the first and the 4 days, you go back to day 1. So there was something in her mind about the 4 days. She felt that was really the critical part, because that way the body could start to really get that muscle memory going. And she felt that there was a metabolic plateau around day 3, that she felt if you did day 4, it would really help. So that's it. Now, I know people ask, Renee, can you do it every day? How often should you do it? La, 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 la. Again, you know, we all have our own lifestyle. So I hate to say you must do it this amount of time if that doesn't work for you. I've been doing it a long time. For me, doing, 40 minutes of T-Tapp is like brushing my teeth. I have to do it. I've done it for so long. Is that necessary for you? Is it necessary for you to work out or do it 5 to 6 days to get results? No. I've seen people who absolutely less is more. That was too much for them. Okay. I do think that you can pick 1 or 2 or 3 moves. Do a move a day. If you can't do the full workout, even just doing a primary back stretch. How about primary back stretch and fitting in a set of hoe downs, or a set of hoe downs every time you eat? So pick and choose, put it into your life. As long as you're moving, you're going to get great results. Results being feeling better, having better energy, keeping that fascia moving. Okay, keeping that fascia unbound. You got to keep moving to keep the fascia unbound and keep working it. All right, let me just see if there's anything else that I can answer that I haven't. Thanks, you guys. Yeah, Kelly asked me if I fasciablast too. And you know what? Here's what I'm going to tell you. I have the fascia blaster. I did do it. Quite frankly, I'm probably not a good test case because I don't really have a lot of cellulite. That was not my body type. I did have some bound fascia probably. I just felt like it wasn't necessary. I will tell you this is just an interesting thing. One more thing on the fascia blaster. And again, please, I really like to do the disclaimer. If it's working for you, keep going. I'm just sharing with you this new science, especially with pain. But the thing with the fascia blaster is, Teresa was watching all this, and, all these T-tappers were off doing the fascia blaster. And, she was like, harumph, fascia blaster, why do you need that when you've got T-tap? So I think it was either 2017 or it might have been 2016 when the fascia blaster was really hot, and everybody's all excited about it. She did, in her challenge, she had a special category for fascia blaster. If you were going to do any of the fascia blasting, you had to enter in that category. Otherwise, if you were doing regular T-tap, you didn't fascia blast. And her whole reasoning behind that was she wanted to see herself and then prove, do you need to fascia blast to get these amazing results? And in the end, you guys, the people that did not fascia blast had better results, inch loss, visible results from before and after pictures than those that fascia blasted. Okay, now, is that a clinical study that was done? No, it was not a clinical study. We're just saying that was anecdotal. You could see the pictures here and there, just sharing. So that's kind of the information. Edwina is asking where we can find the packets. I'm not sure what packet she's talking about. You think you might know meant, oh, I know what you probably mean, and that is my my class packages. And when we're done here, I'll just put a link down there for you, okay? And on that page, you'll also see there's a coupon code, Renee20 for your Renee30, sorry, for your 30% off. And it will list all of them, and then you can click right in there. And I thank you for that, my darling Edwina. I can't wait to see you and give you a big hug. And thank you so much, you guys. Thanks for all the great possibles. Yes, shoulder blades down equals ribs up. Yes, Tina, you got that. I love that. Oh, here's a good question. Tina asks again, Teresa always talked about doing specific exercise, specific sequence, so would picking any 3 still be okay? Great question. Yes. When you pick those 3 moves, if you're doing them from T-Tap, You just do them in the order that they show up in the workout. So primary back stretch is always first. Even if you don't do this first part, the straight and bend, but you just do your curl and your scoop, you always want to do that. Warm that spine up. Get some heat in the spine. Get some heat going in the body. Then what would be next if you're doing bridge scoop? Bridge scoop comes next in the workout, and then a twist, whether it's jazz twist, or lawnmowers, that would be in there. So you just do it in the sequence that it shows up. That way you know you're going to get good spinal strength and the heat, and you're not going to hurt anything. So awesome there. You guys, thanks so much for all these great comments. I so appreciate it, and great questions. Let me just see if there's anything else. So Hannah loves to use her fascia blaster. That's perfect. No problem, sweetie. If that works for you, I love it. All good. And all good. And that's all I have to say, because Hannah got great results. Hannah always gets great results. So if that worked for her, that was wonderful. So anyway, I am going to kick off now. We'll do this again. Thanks, because I can tell you guys are enjoying it. And again, additional questions, menopause, yeah, we'll do that as well. So thanks for staying up late with me. I so love you all. I appreciate you. And have a great evening.